Sir.
Here I have a data to share. Here I have a data to share because before I go to Manojji, I want to also welcome Yashodhara Patil. She is founder of Kidsopedia, a very active woman. So she is having a lot of similar like-mindedness doing such shows, and all of you have to connect with her also. Thank you so much for watching us live. Do raise some questions because you also have a daughter of 13-year-old. I am also a parent of 17 and 14, 17 boy and 14 girl. So I find it very relevant. So I have data to share that every second child deals something within these conversations which is unusual and unexplained, and as a shock and a surprise, or we can say child abuse. And you will be more surprised when I'm quoting this data. It is 52% boys who have these such experience. It is not the girls. The data is, it was like a shock to me, a surprise to me. It was 52% boys. So coming to Manojji, that Manojji, what is your view? You have like children of 30 and 26 years old boy. So yeah, please share your view.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you, Nayed. Thank you, everybody, for sharing their views. See, this topic is most relevant today because we are not into a regional kind of a setup now. We are into a world kind of a setup. This problem exists only in this Asian region, but to a very high degree. Then, if you compare with Europe or if you compare with America, where the problem is less, but obviously they have got a different degree and different type of a problem. But in this Asian context, the problem remains very conservative, very traditional. In the Indian context, if you ask, most of the families say we are conservative. But conservative doesn't mean that we don't educate our children, we don't educate our daughters, we don't educate our boys. The molestation part, it's very common, very, very common. I counsel a lot of young children, young boys, young girls, and the first thing which they share is that they're having some trouble, either with some teacher, or that there's a major problem here in Indian region. The teachers become almost they're not the teachers in the right sense. So if we educate our children, and if we and in the today's age of internet, where the information is a free flow kind of an activity, so it's very important that we at least trigger our children and have them the right kind of an information. What is the right touch? That information has to go very, very strongly with our children. And as far as the boys girls relationships are concerned, let's open up. Let's see what are the aggressive or the more advanced societies are doing. So similar things we need to adopt, and similar things we need to encourage with our children. It should not happen that my daughter should be speaking to somebody on mobile, which is a common problem, common problem with all the households, especially in India and Asia. So why my girl should speak to a boy? It's very natural. They would speak. All of us have done that. So let's be normal about it. Let's not create a ruckus over this, and let's share. Let's let our kids be our friends. That is the best approach which I can suggest. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Manojji. Junior, one of our viewer is asking Yashodhara Patil ji. She is also a teenage parent's mother. So that she's saying that as children are consuming a lot of content on open internet, so as parents, what all can we teach them in advance, preparing them? And I have a question like, what are these conversations which we should do as a parent with our children?
Okay, very great, Nahid. So to address, so to set the context, I realized I didn't introduce myself. I'm a mom of 5 kids. My eldest is 15, 11, 9, 7, and then 4 years old. And the context that I want to set, right, is really we are growing up in a very different era that our kids, rather, sorry, are growing up in a very different era that you and I grew up in. You see, when you and I grew up, the internet was less developed, really. So it means that we could slowly meet face to face with certain people. I remember when my first boyfriend dated me, he had to call the home phone. There's no such thing as the handphone then, right? And then my father would pick up, my mother would pick up. And so there's a lot more involvement. But now, with every child, with most teenagers, to specifically answer that, mom, right, having their own mobile device. I remember my teenage daughter was sharing with me how a very, very quiet friend of hers in school, who is a goody two shoes, always studies, always listens to teacher, never breaks rules, recently confided in my daughter and told my daughter, I've got a boyfriend online. And guess what? He's from UK. And then my daughter was like, seriously? But you don't even talk to many girls in school, and it's a female school, right? And that's why, to me, having these early conversations from as young as like 5 years old, where we can anchor their values about what it means. Okay, if I mean this topic is so huge, but for the purpose of time, I just want to bring in one key topic called consent, right? Like CONSENT. What's the meaning of consent? Where someone touches you, when someone does things to you, when someone pushes you beyond what you are comfortable with. So that's a conversation from young. I teach my kids. And Nahid, I mean, just to share with you, I'm so candid, right? Because my first four are girls. And when I was young, I was molested many times before, whether on buses, and because nobody told me, right? So I remember teaching my kid as a mother now. I told them, okay, when on the bus, if someone comes to you and touches you in inappropriate places, what do you do? And then I'll teach them, you slap them. So, and I don't just tell them that, right? I say, okay, come, let's practice now. And I remember, right? And then I said two things you do. Number one, you slap them. Number two, you shout out loud. Because I remember from my own experience, I was shy. I was afraid. I didn't want to call attention to myself because nobody ever told me about things like that. So I remember the first time I taught my kids, it was at the dining table. I was like, okay, come, let's practice now. Say, help. And Nahid, you wouldn't believe, right? Some of my daughter was like, help. It's like I realized that they don't even own their voices, because in Asia we're taught not to speak up, especially in school, right? If you don't know the correct answer, don't raise your hands. So if we are not comfortable with our own voice, it's no wonder that we don't even help. Their help is like so soft, only ants can hear. So the first one is saying help. And then after that, I wanted them to get more comfortable to go the next step. So I remember this was in the car. So different small conversations I have with them. I was like, okay, so if a guy comes up to you and wants to kiss you, so I pretend to be the guy, what do you do? And then one of my daughters, she said, slap mama. I was like, okay, come slap. And she really gave me a tight slap. And then we all started laughing. And then one more was like, can I try now? So I know it sounds quite funny, right? But why I'm preparing my kids like that is because I think when they are comfortable in the moment, if they see, and I teach them, it's not just for them, but if they see someone else, another female or even another boy being put in circumstances that are not appropriate, that they can call out, that they can voice out, that they can then make a difference. So that's really my heart when I talk about consent, to teach my kids how to, number one, own their voice. Number two, give a slap lah. If it's wrong, never mind. Just say sorry and then walk away, right? But it's equipping them with things like that nobody ever taught me.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Junia. So one thing as a power statement came to you, very powerful for all parents, that children actually don't know that they can say no when somebody is doing something. So that consent of saying no and the power of no, making them aware of this small thing will actually make a difference, because most of the times like the children actually are really, as you said, they are shy and they are not able to shout out or converse back. So Lubna and Mariam, anything Manojji you want to ask or share, please unmute yourself and let's make it more interactive.
Yeah, I think Junia has been very right. If we don't resist in the strongest format, the things are only going to increase. So one incident of slapping would go a long way for the complete complete environment. So the ecosystem would certainly improve with one single slap. But that courage has to come with empowering our own kids. Most of the time, parents are nagging with their children, so that nagging needs to stop. And obviously, some lessons in self-defense, some kind of a confidence has to be built up in the kids. So that's very important. What kids lack is obviously the confidence of slapping. So for me, it's a very good solution that should be taught to all the kids, and let it be whatever it comes to. But the complete ecosystem is going to improve by just single slap. That's what I think. Thank you, Junior, for enlightening
Thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you so much. So,
Well, I
Lubna,
have
another thing. Yeah. Mariam, yes,
I have
you ask.
so this is a real life example. Like you talked about an important concept called consent. There's another one which I would like to know about, and I have a niece, so she's I think around 3 years old, and I want to create a healthy boundary with her. So she comes up, picks things, and I don't want to hide away things. Everyone says like just hide away things, keep it in the cupboard, but she is a girl, and I want to create a healthy boundary, like so that she doesn't get into the habit of taking permission and asking. But how do I do that without scolding her? Like, how do I create a healthy boundary without getting irritated or just don't?
So to me, I just tell her. I talk to so all my kids from like 2 years old. I talk to them like they're adults, and I educate them, and I say, "This is my thing, and I would like it if you ask permission. Because how would you like it if I just took your thing and assume that it's mine?" And so then I will have dialogue with them, and then and I will listen to what they have to say. Yeah, simply that. And then after I explain to them, because this is mine, right? Whether it's my possession or whether it's, I mean, if we were to graduate it to the next level, different parts of my body, I even tell my children, I don't care whether it's an authority, whether it's a teacher or a person in uniform. If they are touching you or asking you to do something you're not comfortable with, you can stand your ground, you can walk away, you can tell them no. You don't have to allow even an auntie or an uncle to hug you if you're not comfortable. This is your body. So you own it. You know when a touch is good and when a touch is not. Trust yourself. And so from a very young age, I teach the kids. And of course, I show them what's a good touch. I'll be, okay, come here. Come, mommy's going to hug you now. And then how do you feel? They say, safe. Okay, that's an example of a good touch, right? But if a person comes to you and then just caresses you, how do you feel? So when I role play with them, I expose them in a controlled environment at home to what is a good touch, what's a bad touch. And I get them present to it's okay to say no. You don't have to obey authority just because no, you don't. Yeah. I hope that helps, Mariam.
Yeah, Lubna.
Sonia, I just wanted to come back to the previous point that you were explaining about, teaching our kids to kind of shout out for help or to, kind of raise their voice and say no. Now, what happens is, this is with my experience of working, say, on the ground level with girls, right? What I have come across several times is even from the girls is, say, when we're doing a role play with them, right, they're already in a safe circle. So so they can, right, they can in that role play come forward and say no or practice everything. But a lot of times when they are in that actual situation, say if they are in a crowded bus, right, and someone is trying to touch them, they do get nervous, right? And at that point in time, uh, most of them, they kind of don't get that courage to shout out loud. Forget slapping, they don't even have the courage to move away or shout out loud. So how do we teach them to overcome in such situations?
Wonderful. So for me, I share with them the psychology behind it because remember, for me, it's a first-hand experience where I felt embarrassed. I felt guilty. I mean, to be very frank, when I remember the first time I was on a bus and I was sitting next to this guy, and I felt as if, and I think I was almost dozing off, right? I felt like his hand was coming on my thigh, but my file was on top. And there was so much confusion and doubt and fear. I think one of the greatest emotion is fear and uncertainty. So when I share these emotions with my daughters, or even with any parents, right, to share with them, just tell them, right, but isn't it ironic? There is nothing for us to be afraid of because what they are doing is not something that they are proud of. And that's why they do it secretly. Or that's why they, how do I say, or that's why and that's why it continues. It's until and unless people like us begin to stand up and say no publicly. It's where, yes, you may not be comfortable initially with your voice. So I think two things. Number one, I explain to them the psychology because when I prepare them for the psychology of it prior to it actually happening, it sort of like prepares them. Whether they ultimately do it, the second point is where I give them many, many practices. So I shared how the first time we did it at the dining table, the first one was like, help. And she thought it was a joke, right? And I was like, no, darling, louder. Your help like that, no one's gonna hear you, And then I realized that there were deeper issues, right? The deeper issue was that she was not comfortable calling attention to herself. And slowly, as I began to rehearse with each child, sometimes at the dining table, sometimes on one-on-one dates, because we go on one-on-one dates, or even when we are on the public transport together, I'll be, okay, see, if a guy comes near you, what do you do? I can only hope, right, at best, that the more stimulated experiences or trials I put them through, the more it will prepare them, the more comfortable they will be. Whether they actually speak out, I really don't know. But it's really in that preparation psychologically and just many, many experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, Junia, we are short of time, so I would like you to just end the session with some message for parents, a special some bullet points or something which is coming from the inner heart that you want to share with them to end it. Thank you.
I think if I were to end it, right, the one thing that I really want to tell parents is in a time and in today's day, in what I call the digital age, our kids need us even more than ever. They are looking for someone that they can come to for trusted advice, a place that they feel safe, not judged, a place where they know they will always be loved no matter what mistakes they do out there. So one of my cries to parents as you're watching in is it's really for us to broaden our own horizon. You see, today our kids are exposed to information much, much more than we were ever comfortable with or we will ever be comfortable with. It's just like the analogy I give, like a koi fish. You put a small koi fish in a small pond. That's the maximum size it will grow. But you put the same koi fish in a bigger pond, that koi fish could grow to 10 times its original size. So likewise, as parents, we all want the best for our kids. And that can only happen when we choose to expand our boundaries, where we choose to have conversations that we are uncomfortable with, whether it's molestation, masturbation, pornography, right? Or even same-sex attraction, when we can begin to have open dialogue conversation, not monologue. Monologue is me telling them, you cannot, you shouldn't, because da. And then that is exactly what will cause them to close up. But when we dare to have open conversations to say, hey, I want to hear your thoughts, not to make them wrong. There is no right and wrong. There is just an open space for me to understand you, to discover your point of view, your thinking, your thoughts. And when our kids feel safe enough in that koi pond that we are creating, it's what I call my boundary, or how comfortable I am discussing difficult conversations, is where they know, hey, I may have goofed up, but I can always come back to mom. And there is no such thing as failing, because home or mom will always be that safe space for me. And that my heart is that each parent begins to create that relationship. Because when there is that relationship, isn't life such a joy? I mean, it's the entire journey. We all make mistakes, right? So why not exercise forgiveness and compassion first on ourselves, right? Because sometimes we are a bit too harsh on ourselves. And then that will flow out in the family. Yeah, so that's really where I say, let's be more open-minded.
Thank you so much, Junia. Thank you so much. Being a mother of 5 children and running Mom Space, so this is like amazing, your thoughts which you have shared with us. Mariam, thank you. Lubna, thank you so much. And you both were destined to meet today, Mariam and Lubna, being from the same city, and you were not knowing about each other. I look forward, Manojji, thank you so much in your smart city solution. If we can have some women empowerment session for all, and thank you all parents who are viewing this, because there's a very strong message which Junia has given and all of us has discussed, that as parents, really this is an hour that we have dialogues with our children, powerful conversations, love conversations, giving them that freedom to express. So thanks everyone for joining here. Looking forward, Junia, you have to be there with us, because last time in your gadget de-addiction I had so many views. That is why I was at the back, that please come forward and spare this 15-20 minutes, because this will really make a lot of difference to so many parents' life. And Asian parents, we all are having similar problems, whether I'm UAE or India or Singapore. So thank you so much, my dear. Everybody would be joining your Mom Space, and wishing everyone all the best in your endeavors. Thank you, parents. Thank you, everyone, for being here.